the defensive tackle position abounds with questions for the 2025 Dallas Cowboys. For some, it's how big a role they'll have in this year's rotation. For others, it's whether or not they'll even be part of it. From almost the top down, there's a lot of room for competition in this year's training camp. We say almost the top because one guy, Osa Odigizua, has a pretty clear claim to the catbird seat. He just got a 4-year, $80 million deal to return to Dallas, and many think he'll be better than ever in Matt Eberflus' scheme. That remains to be seen, of course, but it leaves no doubt as to Odigizua's lead role with the team in 2025. By our estimation, Odigizua is the only guaranteed DT on this season's roster. Some are certainly more likely than others, and a couple would be shocking if they didn't make it. But with a new coaching staff in town, carryovers from the last regime may not have the same security they would have otherwise. It makes for a far bigger roster bubble than you might think. Mazi Smith. Now entering his 3rd season, Smith is still looking to justify his significant draft investment. But even if he never becomes the long-term starter you'd have hoped for from a Thursday night pick, Smith should still make he team as one of the only big-bodied tackles and a rotation piece. But we're not that far removed from Taco Charlton being let go a few weeks into his 3rd year. If Smith is a complete flop this summer, you never know what could happen. But he'd have to be utterly dead weight to push the Cowboys that far, especially since they're still underwater on his rookie contract. Solomon Thomas. Turning 30 in August, Thomas was a free agent addition this spring. While he's never lived up to being the 3rd overall pick in the 2017 draft, Thomas has been a role player on strong defenses for the 49ers and Jets through the years. He followed Dallas' new D-line coach, Andrew White-Cotton, from New York to Dallas, and is expected to have a role both on the field and as a veteran leader. But with only $3 million in guaranteed money, Thomas still has to earn his roster spot over his much younger competitors. Jay Toya. The 7th-round rookie has a fairly clear path to the roster as the only other pure-nosed tackle prospect besides Mazi Smith. Some argue he's already the lead candidate for that role, with Smith still needing to prove he can be consistently effective as a space eater. Even if Smith makes a 3rd-year leap, Toya can easily make the team as his backup and rotation piece for short yardage. But as with any late-round pick, the future is far from certain. Perrion Winfrey. A 4th-round pick in 2022 by the Browns, Winfrey got into legal trouble during his 2nd offseason and was released just before camp. He had a brief stop with the Jets practice squad that year and spent 2024 out of the NFL, but just turned in a standout performance with the Birmingham Stallions of the UFL this past spring. Turning just 25 in August, Winfrey was once considered a potential Day 2 prospect and should be competitive for a roster spot. Tommy Akingbisot. Dallas' other 7th-round DT from last April, Akingbisot is more of an athletic 3 tech, and that could be to his disadvantage. That's already Odigizua and Thomas's roles, plus now there's Winfrey competing for similar work. Dallas is unlikely to keep more than 5 tackles, so Akingbisot is going to have to push someone out of the way for a roster spot. There are lofty expectations for Dallas Cowboys right guard Tyler Booker, with the Alabama Crimson Tide stud taking over from the retiring Zach Martin. That in itself is a Herculean task, with Martin already having his gold jacket being made in Canton, but the rookie has hit all the right notes since being drafted, both on and off the field. Much is expected of Booker, as he slots alongside Cooper Beebe and Terrence Steele in front of quarterback Dak Prescott, as the offensive line looks to be the unit that will power this team forward in 2025. For Fox Sports' Rob Rang, in picking one rookie from every team to conjure a franchise star, when it comes to Booker, he couldn't have gotten a better star to try and emulate Larry Allen. With 10 interior offensive linemen earning at least one Pro Bowl nod for Dallas since their last Super Bowl victory in 1996, few teams have enjoyed better blockers over the past 30 years than the Cowboys, Rang writes. Zach Martin might very well have been the best of them, with the 7-time All-Pro a shoo-in for Canton someday. Booker's size and physicality could make him an even more intimidating presence, however, and perhaps no blocker in the entire NFL bulldozed opponents more consistently than Allen. Now, we're talking about possibly the best lineman the franchise has ever seen here. A 6-time All-Pro, a Super Bowl champion, and a Pro Football Hall of Famer. That is quite the comparison. But if there is a rookie who might embody the brutality of Allen, it could very well be Booker. Granted, we are yet to see him in pads and with real NFL bullets flying, but there is enough to suggest that Booker might be able to slide straight in and be productive from the outset. As far as being like Allen, we'll let the cake bake on that one. The Cowboys' offseason program came and went without a Micah Parsons extension agreement being reached. The threat of missed time, or at least non-participation, during training camp now exists, but the All-Pro is still targeting a deal being worked out before mid-July. I'm pretty hopeful, Parsons said about the timeline of an extension via Jory Epstein of Yahoo Sports. I'm still hanging tight. I understand it's up to owner Jerry Jones, and he gives the green light on everything. So hopefully something's done by next month. Parsons once targeted March as the time for a deal to be in place. Having his financial outlook sorted out ahead of free agency would have helped inform Dallas' other moves this spring, but since the framework of an agreement was reached in person between Parsons and Jones, there has been little progress in extension talks. In addition to finances, the length of a monster deal appears to be a sticking point between the parties. The top of the pass rush market stands at $40 million annually, but TJ Watt in particular represents a candidate to move the bar even higher. As Parsons, who is 4 years younger than Watt, waits to see how the Steelers fare with their top edge rusher, he could elect to delay signing a Dallas extension in a bid to become the league's top earner at the position. As things stand, the Penn State product is due to earn $24.01 million on his fifth-year option. A long-term deal will be worth far more, but it will be interesting to see if Parsons and the Cowboys, known to prefer longer term on their extension agreements, can find common ground on that front before finalizing the financial details of a contract. It took deep into the offseason last year for CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott to sign their respective packs, and Parsons not having his in hand by the start of camp, July 21st, would add further uncertainty to the Cowboys' top storyline. The two-time All-Pro previously stated he would attend training camp and thus avoid mandatory fines, without taking part in on-field work. Parsons confirmed he will be in Oxnard, California during his latest remarks on his future, but when asked this time whether or not he would participate, he replied, "We'll see. Time will tell."